Hello and welcome to my Chivalry 2 Ambusher guide. The Ambusher is one of the most interesting but also one of the hardest classes to play. A lot of players come from RPGs where they always play the rogue class and try to do the same thing with the Ambusher in Chivalry 2. But the problem is that most players don't perform really well with the Ambusher and end up in the bottom half of the scoreboard. I identified the biggest mistakes players do with the Ambusher, and I will tell you the top 5 most important tips and tricks so that you can top score as an Ambusher and have a lot of fun playing the class. The first and most important tip is to stay close to the front line. Although your intuition tells you to sneak up to your enemies from behind and stay away from the front line, the opposite thing should be done with the Ambusher in Chivalry 2. When I first started playing the Ambusher, I tried sneaking around while avoiding the group fights to get easy kills in the enemy backline. But there is a big problem in Chivalry that makes this playstyle highly inefficient: the spawn waves. In this short clip you can see exactly what I mean. I took a lot of time to avoid the enemy front line and try to pick off easy targets in their backline. But as I was running up these stairs to the archer, already 2 enemies that just spawned saw me and followed me right away. And then I ended up in a pretty tough 1vx fight. And although a 1vx fight can be won even with a dagger, it's really not the thing you want to do as an ambusher, since it's really hard. So just keep in mind that the best thing you can do as an ambusher in Chivalry 2 is to stay close to the front line. This will open up way more possibilities for kills for you, and you won't waste time sneaking through the map only to be detected by the next wave of spawning enemies. The most important thing while fighting on the front line as an ambusher is to try to avoid the enemy's attention. You want to go in and out of the fights and try to hit your enemies from behind for the extra damage that the ambusher class gives you, or at least try to hit your enemies from the side. And another highly effective thing you can do is to finish off overextended enemies. Tip number 2 is to use your throwing knives for low HP enemies or knocked down enemies. Your throwing knives are an amazing tool to finish low HP or knock down enemies, since you're always holding them in your left hand and you can quickly use them. So always scan the battlefield for such vulnerable targets and you will rack up a lot of score points while decimating the enemy's numbers. Also keep in mind that headshots with your throwing knives cost 25% bonus damage. Tip number 3, and a thing that you should always keep in mind, is that the special attack from behind does an insane amount of damage with the Ambusher. The Ambusher class does 50% bonus damage when hitting an enemy from behind with native weapons. And just to clarify what that means, native weapons are only weapons that you can spawn with as an ambusher. If you pick up another weapon from the ground, like a longsword for example, you will not get the bonus damage from behind. And now if you combine those 50% bonus damage with your special attack that already does a lot of damage, things get really absurd. Yes, I actually dealt 150 damage with just one hit. So a special attack with the dagger from behind one hits every enemy except a knight, since the knight has 175 HP. But one thing you really have to keep in the back of your head is that the sprint attack does less damage than the regular special attack. So whenever you're running for a while and you see the double chevrons in the middle of your screen, or the text on the right side indicating that you can perform a sprint attack, on the computer at least, pressing the Q button will then initiate the sprint attack and not the special attack. And since it does less damage than the special attack, you really have to think about whether you want to use it or not. In most cases you want to stop running for a split second and then use your special attack, since it does more damage, especially from behind. So for example, a sprint attack from behind to a footman would not one-hit him, but a special attack would, at least with the dagger. Alright, let's get to tip number 4. Try to avoid 1vx. The Ambusher has pretty much the worst arsenal when it comes to fighting multiple enemies at once. Although it can be done with the hatchet or the short sword, the dagger and the cudgel are very bad for fighting multiple enemies at once. So overall, in most cases you should try to avoid 1vx fight and seek easier opportunities for kills. And the last tip, tip number 5, is more of a tip for advanced ambushers. If you really internalize the first 4 tips, you will still notice one big problem with the Ambusher. In comparison to other classes, it's really hard to get a lot of score points and to top score as an Ambusher. The main reasons for that are that 1v(x)s are really hard as an ambusher and that your special ability, the Quiver, does not give you score points like the Warhorn or the Banner for example. It is clearly noticeable for you since many players with less kills will have more score points than you. That's where kill streaks come into play. If you really focus on surviving while still getting a good number of kills, you will get the bonus points for your kill streaks. For example, 4 kills will equal a killing spree and will give you 50 bonus points. The next step is the Rampage, which you will get with 11 kills, which gives you 100 bonus points. And after that, if you get 15 kills without dying, it will say Domination and give you 150 bonus points. And this continues for several more steps. And although a special ability like the Warhorn or the Banner is a way more reliable way to get a lot of score points, this can make the difference for you as an ambusher. So if you've really internalized the first 4 tips and then also get these huge kill streaks as an ambusher, then you will finally be able to easily top score as an ambusher. But overall I have to say it's way harder than with the other classes like the Raider or the Officer for example. Alright guys, I really hope that you've enjoyed the video and learned quite a few things. If you did, then please like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you have any recommendations for topics that I should make a video about, please let me know in the comments. And see you on the battlefield!